common in pop culture, but so elusive in day-to-day life. You probably know these guys. Now, you may have laughed at my accent, and you may have laughed at some or all of the characters on the screen behind me. And that's okay, because the comedy of these characters stems from their accents. But what does this mean? Are funny accents really a bad thing? The constant association of the Indian accent with a socially awkward, bumbling, convenience store owning, super genius incites a sort of Pavlovian reaction in television audiences. When we hear a funny accent, we immediately associate it with the stereotype that we have. And this gets applied to real life as well. When we hear someone's accent, their entire method of speaking gets turned into a constant punchline. So, as a person of Indian American descent, I've had the opportunity to be acquainted with certain microaggressions, certain stereotypes that people have about Indians, regardless of where they were really born or where they grew up. Things like, so, are you going to be a doctor or an engineer? Why do you guys smell bad? And a really common one, is it true that you guys worship cows? Being a minority, I've been able to see people think that it's okay to shove their misconceptions and ignorance in my face, and it's not always their fault. I mean, a lot of these stereotypes are perpetuated by pop culture. But accents are complicated. Certain accents have high standing. The received pronunciation of the British accent, for example, the one that you usually think of when you think of a British accent, is considered to be classy and sophisticated in America, which is kind of ironic for a country that fought an entire war to rid themselves of the upscale British elitists. On a slightly darker note, African American Vernacular English, or AAVE, is commonly misinterpreted to be a sign of a lack of education or other negative and harmful stereotypes about African Americans. So, why do we judge people based off of these accents? Possibly, it's because of a convergence of pop culture and just because of the barrage of stereotypes that we have around us. And it's not just restricted to accents. Appearances also play a big role in how we judge other people. And it starts from a young age. Studies showed that infants as young as 6 months judge other people based on their appearances. So the next time a baby doesn't like you, well, you know why. We're even willing to cut corners for the most despicable of people simply because of the way they look. Notorious serial killer Ted Bundy evaded justice for many years simply because people didn't believe that someone who looked like him could have been a murderer. Here's another example of beauty-based leniency. Now, you may be wondering, who's this handsome lad? Well, that's actually Joseph Stalin. In an interesting social experiment, somebody made a Tinder profile for him and, well, he got swiped right more than your average brutal dictator. If we can explore the possibilities of a romantic relationship with someone like Joseph Stalin, what's to stop us from judging someone negatively based on their accent or their appearance? Really, there's nothing. But why do we judge people like this? We're all different, we're all unique. We each have our own individual experiences that are reflected in things like our accents, in our appearances, and in our habits. And when we judge people based off of these things, we hold them up to a ridiculous standard that's not representative of the diversity of this world. So, while it may be funny to laugh at someone's accent or their mediocre grasp of English, or to gawk at their disability or their appearance, remember that Hawkeye could be the next Stalin, and that stunningly inarticulate man could be the next